welcome back to Eternal Sonata. So, let's visit the city of Baroque, since we decided that the experience inside the mirror was fruitless,
unsatisfying.
Yes, this latest dungeon was most unsatisfying.
So let's do a recap, folks. We recently were at a revolution town, which had people who were stupid enough to send us to go to a dangerous graveyard just to get a girl a bunch of flowers. Let me correct myself. The water for some stupid flowers, which was then followed up by a kingdom, Baroque, led by a king who is pretty much being cuckolded by his... I don't know if it's his wife, his girlfriend, or whatever.
That's the thing, Jova. He doesn't even...
His hoe.
I don't really think it can be considered cuckolding because Serenade doesn't have a secret lover or anything. He's just really that whipped.
I just honestly do have
what's gonna happen? What's gonna happen next? Someone stubbed his toe, so we have to get them a pincer to take it off the foot or something.
Surprisingly, no, especially because again, when it comes to side quests, this game is very tame. You have the performing the session with your score pieces. One, you have the item chain side quest one, and you get a minor, basically a recurring one with when you stumble again in Dolce and there are two Blackies, which we'll see, for example, an instance happening in this very part.
I hate to sound a bit negative, but I will say this: those past two experiences have. Oh, is this a cutscene?
No, this is basically presenting the city of Baroque.
Okay, I don't mean to sound too negative, but I think that, the last two examples I've just stated, the issues with that main quest involving the flowers, and now this quest involving Baroque and its rulers and whatnot, I think there's a bit of messed up priority when it comes to what constitutes as a main storyline. Like, okay, the flowers thing, I get it. It's supposed to be considered charming, extremely nice of our heroes. The problem is that, one, we don't even get to really see the quote-unquote reward, like, see if the girl is grateful for it, unless I'm guessing if we go back.
Just wait until we reprise the action on supposedly the group. That's the thing. I'm getting ahead of myself a bit. We will see more at the beginning of the next part. But let's just say that a lot of things will happen off-screen.
Oh dear.
Which kind of brings me...
Let's just be thankful that Wibbs is not here for this one.
Yeah.
It kind of brings me to an issue, though. It's like, well, again... I mean, it doesn't really help building up the world if these main quests just come and go, because that's what they feel like.
That's exactly what I mentioned also previously. The fact that I'm not really invested, supposedly, in this world. I know that I technically shouldn't, because there's this debate going on, if this is just a dream of Chopin, of a dying Chopin, or instead something more, actually. And trust me, we'll get a clear answer by the end, which... I don't say that I agree with it entirely, but it was way better than any of my fears could have been the first time I played this game. It's very mindfuck when you still get down to it, because, trust me, the answer is not as simple as you may think. It's not one of the two extremes that I mentioned. It's something in the middle. Let's just say that.
The sad thing is that I'm expecting a complex answer, because that's what the story seems to like to do. Either be complex or try to sound complex.
But that's exactly the thing. A lot of the elements that happen during the story that our heroes do is just filler that has been padding and filler inserted for the sake of prolonging the story. For the sake of having another dungeon to do or another boss to fight and stuff
I think
like
a better way to describe it is that it's vague.
Not only that, but
the game... Sorry, go ahead.
Better than Fairy Fence Ref on that regard, because there are no real copycat dungeons. All the dungeons are unique, and basically almost all of them have a unique gimmick to them, so that's at least there's that. But the problem is that if I'm still not invested in them, because I'm just supposed to do a simple chore where I may get a cutscene here and there that progresses the plot just a bit, I'm not sure if it's really that worth it. And keep in mind, filler dungeons like that, to me, normally will be fine if they're just a tiny part of the game. Here, they're constituted at least for the first 2/3 of the game.
And not helped by the fact that this game is linear. And okay, look. I'm not saying that being linear is in and of itself bad, but for the kind of JRPG this game is trying to be, this feels like a game that should give you some choice. Like, okay, if you're not going to bother having the quests feel like they mean that much, then how about giving us a choice of what quests we do? Like, for example, in Super Mario Odyssey, yes, I know that's more of a platformer, but Super Mario
by the way,
Odyssey...
just mentioning briefly, don't worry, we'll get back to this particular basement later. For now, let's just memorize the fact that this employee seems to be not really very lenient on this job. But,
Michelle, is that you?
Yeah, let's move on. Go ahead, Jova.
To compare this to Super Mario Odyssey, yes, I know that's a platformer game, but it's a platformer game that incorporates a lot of elements you see in an RPG or whatnot. See, in Super Mario Odyssey, okay, now, while obviously what you do occasionally is scripted or whatnot, like, well, okay, yes, you're gonna have to get this certain moon or whatnot. Sometimes, you can do some creative stuff. You can choose certain activities you want to do to build up your moon counter. Basically, anything that's between you coming to a world and moving on to the world after it, you get to choose how you want to do it, when you want to do it. I know that's not always
And
easy.
in what order, I think, as well?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, it's literally the natural evolution of the Super Mario 64 3D gameplay formula. And, okay, I know that's not entirely possible for a JRPG like this, but with how the quests feel like they were made with that in mind. I think you can agree with me on this, Tio. A lot of these quests feel interchangeable. You could literally rearrange some of these.
For example, you could get the graveyard quest with the water here, for example.
Yeah. Or heck, even better, have the graveyard thing be a job that you find. Heck, I can get jobs being insane like that because, well, the only people crazy enough to do that are people looking for good money. Give it some context, give it some reason. And speaking of giving context and reason, maybe this might be nitpicking on myself, but I feel like the outfits that people wear in Baroque here feel a little too similar to outfits people wear in other locations that are, warmer. Okay, I get why our protagonists are not wearing winter clothes, but dudes, it's regularly cold here. Why are you walking around like that? Again, going back to Super Mario Odyssey.
Ni no Kuni did that.
Seriously.
Ni no Kuni had them dressed in winter clothes.
It
They
kind
got
And
the
the
ice cream
swimsuit.
Yeah, heck, again, going back to Super Mario Odyssey, there's different regions, different climates, different... Why are we near a volcano?
Actually, we're now we need to traverse this glacier that's connected to a volcano. Yes.
A glacier
But
connected to a volcano.
Jova, again, this universe operates on Dragon Ball Evolution logic, like I said.
Keep also in mind that the Simpsons game, which came out around this year, made fun of this exact trope.
Exactly.
Just saying.
Also, remember, Jova, the entire world in the Sonic OVA is held together by a fucking glacier.
To be fair, that's a lot more cartoony, and that's a place that floats up in the sky, so altitude, Shiroi. Whereas with here...
Still above lava, though.
Well, okay, again, it's like...
Directly above lava.
Let me put it like this, Shiroi. This is what we call the cartoony effect factor. In a world like Sonic's, it's a lot easier to buy into cartoony physics and logic.
Hold on, Jova, let me explain briefly about this. We'll come back to this particular spot later, but basically after defeating this enemy, this is PS3 content. Exclusive. In this case, Polka just mentioned something about a sanctuary being behind this door, but she doesn't want to get near here. We'll get back to it later, and we'll explain more a bit when we'll get a special item in order to grant us access to that. Continue, Jova.
Yeah, it's it feels a bit lazy to have the NPCs be dressed up as they were before. Now, I get that this may have been on a tight budget, but again, this game indulges in way too much cutscene and scenery to say, oh, no, we couldn't have possibly...
Actually, now we're going to get another important cutscene, which establishes another element of the world.
Hey, look at that, they're cold, so... I have to ask, why do people in the town not get cold if they're dressed just as lightly as they
Actually,
are?
that's the thing, they still have technically long dresses, so... If anything, the other question is to be asked, why are the people in Ritardando not sweating?
Good question.
That's not a kite, it's a dove. But I'm surprised to see one flying over a cold, snowy mountain.
Maybe it's a seagull. Those things live in any condition.
Yeah.
Who cares about a bird and a
For once, I'm actually agreeing with Salsa. Let's just move on.
It's a trap, isn't it?
No, surprisingly no. We're gonna take this time to take a pause. And first, let's go check back on Waltz, and this time Rondo reporting to him.
She knew she couldn't escape her deception. and that he'd eventually
Once
learn she
again,
was a
Waltz is
spy.
calling out the bullshit of the game, which, as much as it amuses me, it still doesn't make the problem go away, sadly.
the
At
pro-
least I'm having fun, I would say, at least.
I will say this, the issue with Waltz is like, oh yeah, he calls stuff out, but then he just says, yeah, whatever, my plans will still
That's,
succeed.
again, Jova is operating on Master Xehanort logic in a sense, there's always an extra plan.
I mean, at least with Xehanort, we see how he inducts these plans, convoluted as they are, whereas with Waltz, it's more like, well, Waltz is like an E3 official who basically says, we promise we'll show you the gameplay, but not yet, but it's still coming.
She's the perfect person to prevent Baroque from starting a war.
Let me guess, it's Serenade, isn't it?
She won't let them follow a path.
Jova, it's a secret to everybody.
So, was I right that Serenade, the girl who's acting way too stupid to, you know, not have an
Don't
ulterior
worry, Jova,
motive?
you'll get a cutscene explaining giving the answer that you want.
I mean, to be fair, Clave sent a freaking dove to Baroque. Like, again, that means she would have had to have known someone inside Baroque. And if it turns out that Serenade is also a secret spy...
Anyway, what also was told to Warando is now to check up on Legato. No, sorry, Fugue. Because remember, he's still operating on the Agogo Forest.
What the...
Yeah, I'll say a speak for it. But he basically was told Warando to keep an eye on.
Oh no, I get that, I was talking about
Anyway,
the
hold on, very
flashes.
good. I'll explain this.
A jewel?
That's right. And that jewel is called an astra.
Basically a fancy term for soul.
In some people it glows very brightly, and in others not very much at all.
People are good, people are bad.
Do you think your astra is glowing, Polka?
No, Mommy, this is a little too weird even for me. Were you eating that weird,
This is a very bizarre way for a parent to get a child to confess they ate cookies.
I'm sorry.
Ah, so it was you that ate them.
Mommy, you're really scaring me with
You
that.
told me the truth, so it's all
Also,
right.
Solfege has
I'm sure
some
that your
very
astra
weird
is still
eye bags. Are you
glowing.
getting some sleep, lady?
I don't know. I'm kind of worried. Hey, Mommy, do I still have time? If I do a whole bunch of good things, will
Normally I
it
would
probably-
joke
know
on
I-
this, but again, Polka is kind of
Of
a
course
time
it
limit
will.
on her head, so this question actually has a lot more sense.
Reminds me, when did Polka
Oh,
start
well,
learning
start
that she
today.
actually had a terminal disease?
We don't know actually. It's basically understandable that as soon as she discovers she can use magic,
Your astra is
she
glowing.
got associated with that.
glowing far too
But that's the
brightly
thing,
for this
she's
world.
still relatively young, 14 years old, as Chopin also said. So
It's glowing
not
so
by
brightly.
it's still
It
she's
is
very young, so I guess
unconsciously leading
Oh,
not
to a dark
subtle.
long
place,
after this.
one that
Yeah.
must be illuminated.
Kingdom
And
Hearts?
someday, the moment will arrive.
Basically, Solfege is hinting at the fact that Polka may be destined to great things.
By dying.
How I wish you weren't the only person
Of
who could
course.
bring light to that deep, dark
I'm not quite sure. Aqua tried that, didn't turn out too well for
And
her.
got norted because of it.
So, you know, it's kind of sad for the people who were theorizing, thinking that she was going to be strong enough to make it. Yeah,
Maybe she
sorry.
will. Maybe she will, Jova. That's just a temporary effect.
Tio, you know we're going to have the obligatory boss fight where we have to
Of
beat her with
course,
our
but who
keyblades.
says that she's not gonna recover after that?
Well, what do you think's more likely? Her recovering without that, or Roxas coming back?
Neither. Nomura is saving that for another game.
Poor Roxas.
Anyway, yeah, Felix like, you just breathe, not breathe that much.
Beat?
I guess it's
What
just
are you
time for
doing
us to
there?
take a
He's
break.
doing the
Our legs are all
robot.
worn out from all the
Yes.
running anyway.
All these coat hangers.
So whose
Yeah.
house is this?
By the way, this hut is completely abandoned, but as soon as we enter, the fireplace was still set on.
Oh my god.
Don't
it's
worry,
haunted.
don't worry, don't worry. The hut is abandoned. Nobody lives here.
But who set the fire then?
Also, these camera angles.
It's abandoned. Nobody lives here.
Also, I love
Oh,
these camera
I
angles.
get it. Organization
way-
13 lives
By
here.
the way, now the hut has no purpose anymore. We just get an item and move on.
Well, that's creepy.
And we still leave the fire on. We don't even know who these are beyond. So, I mean, it's assumed that this is just a resting place for the people who excursion on the mountain. That's fine. but you should get stuff like a sign outward which says feel free to use it. Anyway, time now to enter the actual volcano part.
Okay, look, maybe I shouldn't throw as much flack at this, but this is one of those games that's tried to be more realistic for the most part, outside of a few anime effects.
I kinda disagree on that, Jova. It's clearly set on a fantasy cartoony style anyway, so...
More like anime than cartoony.
Yeah.
And I guess to be fair, if this is in Frederick
But Pedro,
Chopin...
these are cartoons! Japanese cartoons, not anime! Don't you know?
If the weather keeps changing
Is that still a thing?
Wait, but Japanese cartoons are anime.
Yeah, that's an old internet debate. Just ignore that.
Let's all be very careful passing.
It's kind of how like I kind of like Little Karibo's take on it. No, it's time for the final showdown, Cowboy. Japanese animation versus American animation. You forgot one important detail, Pegasus. American animation is faster than the Japanese counterparts.
What? Wait. Wa Lava Cave? What? Is this named after Waluigi?
Sure, why not?
He is not allowed here.
Or Waluigi. Anyway,
Don't
again,
worry, he'll
speeding
be
things
there.
up because this dungeon is not it's more tedious for the enemy placement, but otherwise you get a lot of experience from the monsters here, so it's a good farming spot. And there are branching paths that you can use, and one of them actually leads you to a spot that you may need. Once I'll get to that and show the items that you kind of need to. You already have it because the game automatically gives it to you, but it's more subtle. You may notice it once you pass by particular elements of the dungeon, don't worry.
So, is it a case of, like, enemies just spawn forever while you're fast-rolling through this
remember,
one?
the enemies don't spawn, they're already placed in the map, and sometimes they'll either just block your path, otherwise they get aggroed and they blindside you. Anyway, there you go. Now we're near a gigantic flower and there's an X on the spot.
Oh.
It's you, Shiroi. Oh, sorry.
Well. Hey! It's that pirate captain! What are you doing in a place like this? I thought we'd seen the last of you!
Don't expect the invincible Dulskank to
Actually,
give...
that was me,
Shit,
Shiroi.
I didn't read the
It's
name.
us.
Fuck.
It's hard.
We could say the same thing to you, people. What are you doing here? Don't tell me you come for our treasure, right?
Who buries treasure in a volcano?
Actually,
We do, okay?
Good.
You moron. Why do you have to go and say that?
Actually, it's not immediate to the treasure here, but I'll get to that in a second.
Oh, never mind. What luck we should run into you lot here. I can finally repay you for what you did to me in the last time we met.
What did we do? We knocked you out and then you vanished.
And
Oh.
stole the treasure.
And her
And her
hat.
hat.
Yeah.
Guess she got a new one.
Yeah.
So, question, is she literally an amputee or is she just wearing a battle hook that
We
she can
never
slip
know.
on and off?
Who cares? It looks cool.
Yes.
You know people are just gonna strive to have her be a Rule 63 version of Captain Hook, then. That said, though, her gun/melee weapon is quite cool. You know, I kind of wish she were a playable character. She looks awesome, sounds cool enough. Again, though, she never speaks outside battle.
Yeah. So you said because remember, Team Doronjo/Rocket.
Yeah.
To continue what was being said though, like, the big problem is like this game is very ambitious in like its scope and the ideas.
Hold on, sorry, Pedro. Go ahead, Shiri.
Oh. As well as I spare your lives today, you haven't hit the last of me.
I'll get you next time, you people.
Consider
Next
this
time.
good practice for when you eventually voice Risky
I don't
Boots.
know any of your names, but yeah.
Consider this good practice for when you eventually voice Risky Boots for our Shantae commentary, Shiroi.
What?
Anyway, Ped.
Yeah,
You-
yeah, you're probably the best
Risky
one.
Boots from Shantae. Hello.
No, I know, but I was like, why me?
Because you're the most
Because
female.
pirates and
Because you're
shit.
the most female sounding. of
Shiroi,
us.
would you prefer to be Rottitops instead?
Nah, I'm good.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I'm guessing she wanted to be. I'm guessing Shiro, you wanted to be Shantae.
Who is
Anyway.
Shantae? Is that Jova?
Yep, me.
Anyway, hold on. Let me
Unless
read
if
this.
you-
The blue crystal is very pretty. The treasure with the waterfall behind the 6 pillars. Where is the real you? basically, these pirate papers are giving you clues towards the actual treasure. It's not here. We will discover later where it actually is. But basically, by defeating Dolce in these locations, you find the other next pirate papers and the places where you need to search upon. Thankfully, due to how streamlined technically the story is, these spots are easy to find, and fighting Dolce on those and all that stuff. Anyway, hold on, we're about to get another cutscene, because get this, Jova.
Whoa, it goes right to the Agogos.
Apparently, Agogo village is connected to a fucking volcano.
And even Salsa apparently didn't know that going off of her reactions.
You figured that one out.
Okay, I guess it wasn't as hard as we thought.
Some kind of directional genius.
No, you're not. Fuck off.
Well, she must have if she got all the way to Forte herself.
Isn't that your sister, March?
Oops.
You're right, it is! Hey! Salsa, welcome home.
Line. Oh, okay.
I'm glad to see you're okay.
Line.
I know you're totally
Jesus,
helpless
these
without me
poses.
around, so
Wow.
Kitaze, get off. Try Crescendo. In fact, get off of everything.
Trouble on this trip. First, I was
While
thrown
you're
in
at
a
it.
scary dungeon, and then I climbed a frozen
That's
mountain.
one of her usual rants again.
She hasn't taken her meds.
It was
In fact, I'll start right now.
a truly
Go ahead.
astoundingly big adventure.
1, 2.
Salsa? More importantly, you should probably take a look at that.
I'll take a look at this
What
cliché.
is it? What could possibly be more important than the story of my
Objection?
Oh my god,
The
it's...
glowing Agogos, basically.
trip? Oh my goodness! The Agogos are glowing.
Also, Salsa seems to
So
occasionally
we're in
have...
Fern Gully now?
Also, for
Yes.
some reason, Salsa seems to occasionally have a southern accent.
It looks so pretty, doesn't
No,
she,
I know.
Roy?
Isn't that just usually what people do when they're too lazy to
But
draw
Teo-
bodies for fairies?
But Teo, fantasy whimsy.
I
This
mean...
time I've gotta take a
Okay.
picture.
They're glowing balls. I'm not saying that you can't make glowing balls sentient. Again, that's usually what people do when they're too lazy to draw actual fairies or whatnot. But these aren't even fairies. They're...
Unfortunately, Jova, we need to have a rematch with Johnny here.
But now we can actually beat him.
Yes, it's time for payback.
Now that I think about it, I never did check around here before.
You
You're,
do?
I don't know.
you're a very idiotic henchman.
I don't know, Teo. I think.
Once
Sorry,
he's being
go ahead.
surrounded by
Who this
idiots.
person is?
I don't know, Teo. I think this game could definitely use like 100 more battles that you cannot lose.
No, no, please, no. I don't want that. I'm okay usually, but
Wait.
Favorite have pushed the envelope
have
way
to
too
tell
far.
you.
Oh my god, that's right. Fairy
Today
Friend
is not
Swift
only
did
my
have a lot of
lucky
fights
day,
like that.
it's all
Whoa.
Jova,
yours
I
as
have
well.
no idea. Whatever,
I
let's
intend
focus
to take
instead
you
of
all to
some of
Forte
this.
Castle.
So, Johnny
you
is
would
very
have been made to
graceful, he's very merciful,
until you
because instead
reveal
of
the
taking us
secret
prisoner, he
location
wants
of
to
glowing
kill us
Agogos.
here.
Because I guess we've outlived our
Now that
usefulness.
I know where they live.
No,
Pretty
because
much.
pretty much he
Oh, there
knows
you
now
go.
that the glowing Agogos are here, so yeah.
Hey, there you go, we have out.
I'll
There
just
you
get
go,
out of
we've
your
served our
misery
purpose.
Right now. After all, we really have no need for you anymore.
It took you how long to say
And
what I
this
just
is
summed up in a
another
few
big
seconds?
reality check
Please
because
don't give
you're
me a
stuck
hard
with three
time.
basically with a bunch of glass cannon against a heavy hitter. So enjoy.
Oh! Beat the crap out of him!
If you need, basically, even if I'm not showing because over level and stuff, the normal strategy is use one of the items that cause the poison status and try to inflict it on Fugue as soon as possible because that will help you immensely in your fight.
You know, it's weird too. You say you're over level, but you're technically at level 1.
Well, over stat, and that's because of it. Even with maximum stats, enemy special attacks can bypass my defense and give me that amount of damage.
Which makes me ask, so does level 1 already have, like, the best attacks you could choose or whatnot? Like...
No, remember, Jova, you gain different special attacks after you reach a specific amount of level.
It sounds like the only point of leveling up is just to flip everything around.
No, you get different special attacks and your stat actually increases. I'm just not showing this here.
Please
Now,
stop.
here's the thing.
If we keep on fighting
This is cutscene is only for the PS3 version. In the Xbox 360, he just dies.
Maybe you have a point. Fine. I'll allow myself to be swayed.
Basically, the developers thought that this fight, basically killing Fugue here, would have been way too anticlimactic. So they decided, well, we'll just let him escape wounded and we'll have it another rematch later on.
So basically, until we meet again, I probably
That's the
won't.
thing, remember.
I'll kill you next time.
Meow. But remember, the cutscene with Waltz specified he cannot return to Fort anymore without actual any results, so he's kind of stuck here for the moment.
Oh noes. You know, maybe he could become a better person and join our party, or he's not gonna learn a thing, is he?
You know, I just realized something.
What?
Why is the terminally ill 14-year-old girl allowed to fight these incredibly tough physical?
Because her magic allows her to use also offensive magic here and there.
I
There
know,
you go.
but
That's also Rondo was checking up things. The surprising thing is that Waltz told her specifically to intervene if Fugue went out of his way. So you think, oh, she's gonna kill him instead. But no, she just lets him leave and instead goes to report about Polka being connected to the glowing Agogos.
So Polka's the
I
chosen
need to
one.
gloat with myself about this for some reason.
I'm starting to understand the so-called mystery of the glowing Agogos. Yes.
Yeah, again, Rondo is crazy as well, just like all the other people
Yes,
support it.
Polka's the key to all of this.
But she
She's the
has
funniest character I've had before.
but she has a weird way of showing it.
Look how whimsy it is.
But I'm going to get the credit for this.
For what it's worth, sweetie.
So, what did that guy want anyway?
It's me.
Said something about the secret of the Agogos. It didn't make any sense.
It sounded as though he wanted to find where the glowing Agogos live.
You know, he technically now knows where they live, so...
Well, he needed to specifically find the glowing ones. Because remember, even Sauce and March did not know about those until now.
Well, now he knows.
And knowing is half the battle.
You're even more of a baby than I thought you were. Actually, I've been doing a little research about it, and I've made a rather interesting discovery.
have
Alright,
you
tell
now?
us then.
The first time you came into the forest, you saw an Agogo that was glowing. Isn't that what you told me?
I wonder if this has something to do with that flashback that Polka had about her mother telling her that
I
by
wonder,
going closer
though.
to the darkness, she'll bring the shine to it.
I know. At first I didn't believe it either. But when I looked into the tales passed down by previous forest
Yes, the
guardians,
tales of Zillia, the tales of Boshinsei, and the tales of Berseria.
Not that, Joa.
You know, this is getting pretty
It
exciting.
is?
Oh, Beat is very excitable talking.
Fair enough.
Right. Well, the legend went like this.
Oh, and let me guess, the magic mirror has to do with this, doesn't it?
Magic mist? Oh, no, that's another thing. Basically, the Gogos glow when an astral with a powerful light is near them. So logically, Polka, being told, as we've been told, she has the potential of being the most glowing Astra of all, is reflecting this by having the Agogos around her, being attracted to her and glowing as a result.
Are they being literal when they say that the Astra is literally a jewel with everyone's soul in it, or are they just
No,
being...
it's a fancy term for soul and the purity of art
Why
representation.
not just call it a soul then?
I have again fancy terms, I guess. I guess it's the same thing that, from what I heard, Tales of Vesperia does by calling any form of energy Blastia or something. Pedro?
Yes, it does, but I'm not gonna go into
Sure.
it.
No, we'll save it the point for the game. But I will just asking confirmation because again, I'm still very ignorant about. a lot of
Sure.
things on
Well, the thing,
on
okay, here's all you need to know too. Everything in that game happens because Blastia, and that's it. That's literally.
That sounds blasphemous.
You fought Metal Gear over there with the nanomachines. Wait till you see Vesperia and the Blastia.
Really? You know what's weird? Because Blastia, I don't recall being mentioned once in Project Cross Zone 2.
Well,
actually it does.
This makes me wonder all the
Jova.
more about
Really? I mean, granted, Project Cross Zone 2 is an incredibly long game, so I may not remember all the
Well,
details.
that's the thing. Also, you have to remember the Vesperia characters in the first Project Cross Zone arrive a bit late to the party. and in the second game, you get overshadowed by the fact that Yuri and Flynn have to fight Segata Sanshiro alone. So yeah.
I'll just say this, Jova. I have never seen a natural resource. Sorry, go ahead.
Anyway, the point of this cutscene, also the end of the cutscene, is that South and March now will do their research about the glowing Agozos for the time being, because again, we haven't found yet Allegret on the others, so the logical thing to do is return to Ritardando for some of them and wait for the others. Polka will return to the Newt and tell her mother that she's okay, and South and March will do some research to find more about the glowing Agozos. After everyone will be united, they will share their discoveries and decide what to do next, basically.
It certainly does sound like a plan.
And Ritardando is where it's likely to be.
How do you know that Jazz is most likely to go there?
Well, no, actually, Allegretto was mentioned.
No.
There you go, Jova. We're about to get to your cutscene.
That's unusual.
I must be.
And keep in mind, that's the one that Polka spotted on the mountains.
What is
Mm-hmm.
that? There appears to be something on the poor thing's leg.
So Serenade is truly a traitor. I knew it.
I wonder.
I mean, unless they're trying to suggest that Crescendo is it. No, just no. That would shoot
That will be even weird, Jova. Crescendo being the spy.
That would just shoot the entire plot in its foot. Like, don't get me wrong, Serenade being the traitor is something I saw coming, but at least it's something that makes a weird enough bout of sense for this game's story. Like I said.
If you say so.
Well, it's like I said, the only reason Serenade should be acting this stupid is because she's actively trying to hinder them. But it's Crescendo that reads the...
There you go. Serenade is...
A spy for Forte. Wow, they didn't even bother.
There we go. It literally spelled out for him, word by word. So let's see what he does.
Wait, what? Why?
For
What do you
now,
think it
his
means?
reaction. For now, his reaction is actually legit. We'll get to another cutscene later
What
on.
does it mean? It means exactly what's written in the fucking thing, you fucking moron!
So, he's gonna arrest her? He's going to question her?
We'll see later, Jova.
How much
Again,
later?
Things are just about to get worse.
The sex better be damn good.
Okay.
He needs to go for the denial phase.
Okay,
Maybe it really is, Pedro.
It's the only way this makes any sense.
Okay, give it to me.
Some kinky stuff. Who
Give it to me
knows?
straight, Tio. Was this stuff originally in the Xbox 360 version?
Yes.
Wow.
And it makes sense, Jova, because a lot of the bullshit stuff has not been reworked for the game, and you can clearly see what's the reworked stuff and what instead is things that have been kept. Because I'm pretty confident that if the dev team had even more time to work on the game, they would have reworked this entire Serenade is a spy part as well. So.
Also, again, how long is it going to take for the next cutscene with those two? Is it going to be, let me guess, off-screen?
I think it's the next part, but don't quote me too much on that.
Alright then, well, see you for the next part then.
See ya.
See ya.
See ya.